Triple Date is a brilliant Full House episode. There's a lot going on in this episode, but it's so well written. It's got such a great structure that it's fantastic, it's funny, it's kind of meaningful as well. This is the 8th episode of the 2nd season. It's directed by Peter Baldwin, and Danny meets a woman called Denise in the produce section of the grocery store, and he decides to invite her on a date. And it turns out she has 2 single girlfriends called Cheryl and Zoey. So he decides to invite them back to his house to triple date with Jessie and Joey. And the setup is meant to be Danny and Denise, Joey and Zoey, and Jessie and Cheryl. But things don't go according to plan. Meanwhile, DJ is babysitting Stephanie, and again, things don't go according to plan. There will be spoilers from this point on as I go into some specific details about things that I loved, things that I thought worked really, really well. But there is nothing that didn't work from start to finish. I absolutely adored this episode. It starts off really well. We have Michelle, and she's walking and talking so much more now. I know I keep going on about Michelle, but Mary-Kate and Ashley, my love of them, is kind of the reason why I watched Full House to begin with. It's what got me interested in the show, and I just love seeing that character in particular grow and develop, and I rather enjoyed everything she brought to this. Danny takes off his wedding ring, which is a big deal, and it's a sign that he's ready to allow himself to date, see other women, without losing the memory of his wife, of course. And the removal of the wedding ring becomes a big deal in a little bit, but I'll get to that point in a moment. First of all, the triple date. Nothing goes to plan, and it's so funny and so well done. Perhaps unsurprisingly, we learn that Jessie had actually previously dated one of the women, Denise, who had apparently named her puppy after Jessie. We don't get to see the puppy, unfortunately. But that means that things are a little bit awkward, but Danny does continue the date with Denise. But Denise clearly still has feelings for Jessie and still wants to be with him. Jessie, not so much. Meanwhile, Zoey and Joey do not hit it off. They are not right for each other. But there's this wonderful moment that really confirms that actually Joey and Cheryl might be right for each other. And it's this fabulous... It made me laugh so much. It's the scene where Stephanie comes downstairs to sing If You're Happy and You Know It. And they cover their eyes, and she goes back upstairs, and then the song is over, but Joey decides to continue the song, jumps up and says, if you're happy and you know it, wiggle your ears. And then in the next moment, Cheryl jumps up and sings, if you're happy and you know it, wiggle your ears. And it was just this beautiful, beautiful moment that established that actually they're a much better pairing. And it amused me so much. I found it to be very, very entertaining. Now, the reason Stephanie came downstairs was because there was a bit of a problem upstairs. They had accidentally dropped Danny's wedding ring down the drain. It was nobody's fault, really. I mean, Stephanie shouldn't have been handling the jewellery. DJ realised this, took the jewellery from Stephanie, intending to put it on the side of the sink. It accidentally fell down the drain. And obviously DJ doesn't want to admit that things have gone wrong while she's been trusted to babysit Stephanie. So they decide to try and take apart the sink. A lesson to any young viewers watching this, or anybody of any age, in fact. If you don't know how to turn off the water first, maybe don't start pulling pipes out of the walls. And obviously things go quite chaotic. And it was a little bit emotional to think that his wedding ring might have been lost forever. I'm sure this isn't the first time somebody's dropped a wedding ring down the drain, but it's played out in a way that's very comedic. And it works really well, and the two stories tie together really nicely. And this leads us to learn that actually Danny and Zoey might be a good match because Zoey hates a messy bathroom. So, in theory, all's well. Well, actually, I was going to say all's well that ends well, except for Jessie, who, in this really glorious moment at the end where Danny's off singing, happy with his potential relationship with Zoey, and Joey's off to go and spend time with Cheryl, And poor Jesse's all alone, and it's very funny. It's very well played out, and I rather enjoyed it. It's a brilliant episode. There is a lot going on at any one time, and things are just completely intertwined in a way that's so delightful, so well written, very well crafted, very funny episode. And as I said, with a bit of sentiment in there as well, with Danny's wedding ring and what it means to him, and what it means for him to take it off, and how moving that is, that he is allowing himself to date, because that's what his wife would want. His wife wouldn't want him to spend the rest of his life alone, and I think it's a really important moment for Danny. It's completely enveloped in comedy, but we don't lose the importance of that moment, and I think that that's really well done, and very well balanced. Needless to say, Triple Date is an episode that I absolutely loved. It is pretty fantastic.